focuses its attention on Syria, Russia, and the fight against ISIS, Turkey, a NATO member and EU hopeful, has taken over its nation's biggest TV market and jailed 32 journalists, threatening to imprison dozens more.
I am widely regarded as an opposition journalist. In fact, I am already blacklisted by the government to be jailed. It's one of the reasons why I am outside the country. I myself am a religious person. I'm not against any kind of religious education, but again, I'm against any kind of imposition of a particular interpretation of religion. What we see in Iran is exactly this. You know, Iranian mullahs are imposing a particular version of Islam. What we see in Saudi Arabia is exactly this. They are imposing the Salafi interpretation, the literalist interpretation of Islam.
Karim warns that it's dangerous for any government to support specific interpretations of Islam and leave out others, and that Turkey must remain open to democratic and religious values if they wish to be a part of the European Union.
Unfortunately, Turkey has been passing towards a process of consolidation of power in one man's hands, meaning the President Erdogan's hands, and a kind of unification of powers. Powers, I mean the legislative, the executive, and the judicial powers. In the existence of a unification of powers, media becomes the only source of checks and balances. Media informs the people. The opposition reaches out there to the people and only through the media. Unfortunately, the President Erdogan's camp also realized that they needed to control the media.
With the Middle East on fire and the downing of a Russian plane by Turkey's military, President Putin referred to Turkey's push towards Islamization as a big mistake and said Ataturk, the father of Turkey's secularism, must be rolling in his grave.
Well, 76 News' contributor Kimberly Dvorak is here to discuss this worsening situation. Kimberly, it sounds like the worst form of censorship imaginable.
Well, yeah, this is what we typically see from dictators around the world who want to make sure that they can have absolute control. So what you do is you see them consolidating their power. They'll go after the judicial branch. They'll, arrest the judges. They go after the military, so there's no military coups. And they do this so they can obtain power. Now, President Erdogan of Turkey is going forward with a referendum vote at the beginning of the year that will do just that. And he has his country in thinking that because Russia is trying to come, in their territory, that, they have threats. So now that will unify them as a country, and they will give more power to the president to do so. But what we're seeing with journalists is startling, and Karim is a great example of that. He was a very popular journalist in Turkey, and he's had to flee the country as a result of that. However, the thing that they're trying to do in a broader sense is they're going into the schools, and they have religious schools. So all public schools are religious schools. So now you're going to have the country go towards the stricter form of Islam, when you've got peoples that are educated, because Turkey's a very westernized country, at least in the large cities, and you've got people that one of the largest growing religions or anti-religions is the agnostic and atheists, because they just don't want any part of this, and they realize that if we go down the road towards Iran, then we will be isolated and we will no longer be able to join the EU, which so many of them want. It's a very sticky situation, and people you talk to on both sides say it's probably not going to happen, but they're striving for that. But if President Erdogan continues to crack down and throwing journalists in jail, which is the countermeasure, like here we have the Fourth Estate. Without the journalists, you're not going to get the stories out. Without the TV coverage being fair and balanced, you're going to get one-sided views, so the people will vote for you.
And Karim was able to escape that. Now, is he living now in America?
He's here. He just came here, so he's a newly blacklisted guy. But they shut down an online publication that he was working on as well, the Daily Zalman, completely shut it down. So he felt that it was time that he either stay there and risk being imprisoned, which was more and more of a likely situation, or escape, Turkey. And not go back. I mean, he's not someone who wants to stay here. This is not his...
What were the top three ideas that you got from Karim during that interview?
Well, I just think that what he thinks is important, we need to make sure that there is a very healthy journalist community inside Turkey, and that the world needs to watch what's going on with this crackdown on journalists and take it as a real threat, that we're looking, or the country will be following the specific interpretation that President Erdogan, which is a very strict interpretation of Islam, bringing back Sharia law and things of that nature.
So the news that we are seeing out of Turkey isn't necessarily what's actually happening.
No, it's not. And Karim spoke to San Diego 6 here for just over an hour, and he gave a stunning tale of events, what's going on. And it's very sad in that part of the region because they are the gateway to the West.
Well, thank you so much for that, Kimberly Dvorak. Thank you for joining us this morning here. For more on